had a guy reach out to me and he said, "Hey Cody, I just bought a bottle of Test 400 and I'm wondering how often should I take it? When should I go up to 500 a week so I can get those good muscle gains and really feel that confidence boost?" And I replied back to him a few things that he doesn't want to hear. I told him flat out, "You got the wrong product, number one. No one should be starting out with T400. That stuff is way too concentrated and way too advanced, especially for a newbie. Personally, I wouldn't even take it." So I told him he wasted his money, but if he's in a bit of a financial pickle and that's all he's got, that's all he's got, and we can make it work, but he's gonna have to be super diligent and super careful. So first off, you wanna start with Test Enanthate, which is Test E, or Test Cypionate, which is Test C. Why? Because these things are dosed at 250 milligrams per 1 mil. So when you fill up to number one in the syringe, that's 250 milligrams. And that's how much you're gonna wanna take a week. If you were to fill up the syringe to 1 with Test 400, that's 400 milligrams. That's way too much for anyone to be taking, especially on their first cycle. So with what you're gonna wanna do, I'm just gonna pretend you're him. I told him, you're gonna wanna get Test E or Test C, and you're gonna wanna take 250 milligrams a week split into 2 shots. So that is a half mil each shot twice a week. You're gonna wanna space it out. I do Monday and Friday, but you could certainly do Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, Thursday, Monday, whatever works good for you. The more often you pin, the better you're gonna feel. That's far superior than doing it just once a week. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is make sure that you wait at least 2 months before you even think about bringing your dose up to a higher level. I don't recommend going up to 500, but you could certainly, once you get used to the testosterone in your system and you've reaped some of the benefits, personally, I think you're better off staying at 250 a week and throwing in maybe low dose Anavar, low dose Masteron, watching how your body responds to that with a DHT in your system. You're far better off taking something like that, Masteron, Anavar, testosterone. You could even take all 3 together, but I recommend if you're just starting out, you do them separately so that you can see how your body responds. I'm not saying entirely separately. You're gonna keep the testosterone as your base, and you're gonna use Anavar or Masteron on top of it. Then the third thing you're gonna do is use all 3 of them together. That's gonna be your next kind of experiment on yourself. You're gonna wanna get those down pat and see if you have any side effects, which I don't think you will if you're running lower dosages. You can run lower dosages for a longer period of time, and that's gonna give you far superior results and feelings than if you were to do like 400, 500 a week of testosterone and then a crazy compound like Deca or Dbol or Anadrol or Winstrol. Because guess what? Your body can only handle those compounds for short periods of time. Like if you're gonna do a compound like Anadrol or Dbol or Winstrol, your body can handle it for like 6 to 9 weeks. And it's definitely not recommended if you're a beginner, because you're gonna get just as good, if not better gains and feel better if you do low dose Test, Anavar, and Masteron. And you're gonna be able to do those for way longer, like 24 weeks. Then you can stop the Anavar and Masteron, and you can just cruise on the testosterone for a while. You're not gonna notice that testosterone in your system for about 3 or 4 weeks, no matter how big of a dosage you take. You're gonna feel the exact same if it's your first time taking 250 a week as you would taking 500 a week. The only difference is you don't have to sit there and watch out for side effects and worry about different side effects coming up at a lower dosage. So why would you wanna run 500 for a short period of time and have to come off or come down and lose those gains compared to staying on 250 with the odd compound on top of it here and there? staying on 250, once you come off those other compounds, you are gonna retain like all of your gains, most of them, compared to if you end up stopping, when you end up stopping Winstrol, Anadrol, Dbol, right? The moment you stop those compounds, you deflate, you lose your gains. And you might think, oh, that's okay because I'll just do it again. Yeah, but you need to have a little rest period, and how you feel in that rest period matters because it's still your life, right? You're still gonna have to wear your own skin. You're still gonna have to live through that. And I'm telling you from my own experience, it's not fun to watch yourself deplete. So get on low dose testosterone, 250 a week tops, do it for 2 to 3 months, see how you feel, notice your benefits, adjust things as you go, like your diet, your training, your sleep, your lifestyle. Get those things all in check on 250 test, then throw in Anavar, let that run its course through your system for 8 weeks or so. After about 8 weeks of Anavar, you could start Masteron and slowly wean off the Anavar in the 2 to 3 weeks it takes for the Masteron to kick in. So now you've gone from testosterone to testosterone and Anavar to testosterone, then you start the Masteron. Now you got all three in your system. Well, the Masteron is saturating in your blood. Then you drop the Anavar and you kind of have the Masteron to keep those Anavar gains and add new gains, and then eventually you taper off the Masteron and you cruise on that 250 test for a little while longer. Then you can play around with other stuff, but that is kind of the trifecta and where you want to go and what you want to do. So you're going to want to use 25 to 27 gauge syringes to inject, and you're going to want to use 18 gauge syringes to draw it out of the vial. So hope this helps. Hope this gives you some explanation. This is basically what I told the guy when he asked me. So I'm going to get back to this workout. Thanks for watching. I really don't feel like working legs today. So that's how you know you need to work legs, or whatever you don't feel like working that you know you need to work. So it's like Arnold always said, if you want big arms, if you want a big chest, do your squats. So I'm gonna do some squats, and I'll probably do a couple giant sets for my arms. Again, giant sets are when you do 8 different workouts for one muscle, back to back to back to back to back to back, with no rest in between. You're gonna go 8 to 10 reps. So if you usually do bicep dumbbell curls with 20s or 25s, you'll wanna drop it to like 10 or 15, because by the 5th or 6th one, you're gonna be feeling it. So I'm gonna do a little bit of this, and then we're gonna have a little talk about testosterone. giant sets are crazy, man. Anything like once you get past like 4 or 5 sets without taking a rest, oh, you can sure feel it. So one set of giant sets is like more crazy than most people's entire bicep workout. So, you know, I think you should do giant sets at least once a week, because I've definitely been getting some good gains from doing